afternoon, everybody. Today is March 30th in the year 2022. It is an absolute pleasure to be here with all of you. I'm Agro. I'm one of the founders of Splinterlands. I'm the CEO. And it's an absolute pleasure to be here. I have a variety of folks with me here. I have, of course, Nate. Nate, do you want to go give yourself a quick introduction?
Howdy, I'm Nate. I'm the creative director. I look over, supervise over all the visuals, the animations, the UX, the UI, the overall design of what you guys see on the front end. That's what I do.
Sweet. And joining us today as well is WeirdBeard. Weird, do you want to go give a quick intro and tell us what's up?
Definitely. So my name's WeirdBeard. I do esports and tournaments, and if it's a competition, probably have my hands in it.
Is Doogie on stream today?
I am definitely here.
All right, Doogie's here. So here's another folk. Well, we'll get to Doogie in a bit too, but Doogie, do you want to say a quick hello?
Yeah, what's going on? My name's Andrew. I like to party, and I am the VP of project management for the company.
Sweet. All right, so today is another great day in the Splinterlands. Man, so I'm getting more reports just in terms of how things are going. Hopefully we'll get Hardpoint back and Chatter back. They've been at NFTLA, they've been at GDC, which is Game Developers Conference. So pretty excited about all the different potentials here. So should be pretty fun. Now, man, I don't want to comment on this Will Smith thing, but I think I have to. If you look right at the end of that little GIF that VC Dragon dropped, there's like a little smirk by Will. There might even be a little smirk by Chris Rock. So I'm excited to see how that one plays out. A lot of people say it's staged, but I really shouldn't just like sit around commentary about that. But it stole my brain for a moment. Okay. So we have a variety of partnerships that we continue to work on. I don't have Warner Music here today, but hopefully we'll get them back pretty soon, and we can go talk about some other stuff there. Matt gave plenty of conversation last time around all the things that we're going to be working on for SBS and the validators, and just kind of talking through some of the decisions that we'll be making there. So, this is sort of a week of just things are moving along, things are progressing, and I'm looking forward to just like getting the updates from GDC and NFTLA. Normally I would have gone, but as it turns out, my partner's expecting a baby. We're like 9 days overdue right now, so it's all just like biting and gnashing of teeth over here, waiting for my rare one of one to come out. And
so it could happen right now.
It could. I mean, there's actually a non-zero chance because we're 9 days overdue. So like I just live in this like permanent state of like emergency, like impending emergency. So yeah, they're rare, but yeah, I'm going with another legendary. So these are the things that I get to deal with. So it's been a little bit slow on my end from some of the work stuff, but I keep having like really high level conversations with some of the biggest businesses in the world, and there's interesting stuff that's happening. Again, a lot of this stuff is like contract protected NDAs and all kind of crap like that. So it's not stuff that I can like immediately share, but working on different product teams, working on getting the product roadmap kind of like scheduled and up, seeing more development in that, hiring and just growing this stuff a whole bag. So Nate, do you kind of want to talk some about what you got going on in creative and what your priorities are there, and sort of highest objectives for you these days?
Yeah, for sure. But since we're sort of still on the topic, I mean, do you think Katie would mind if she went into labor right this second? Would she be okay with you taking, video into the delivery room so that the community can share the miracle of life with you guys? Is that a possibility?
We're doing a home birth, so we'll just like,
no way. Do you have
we'll
like a kiddie pool right there in the living room, or I mean, how?
The pool at the house is like a really tiny in-ground pool, and we're in Pennsylvania, so this is freaking cold. That would not be like every person would suffer in that version. But no, well, so yeah, maybe I could just wheel my computer in or hop on my phone and just and troll, live stream. But I think she's more of a private person than that.
Oh, okay. Well, see what you can do. If it happens during this town hall, I feel like we owe it to the community to be part of this. So,
Nice.
the minting of a new card, but in the real world, at this that'd be cool. Okay, so as far as what Creative's working on, I would say that we're all over the place. And every day is this amazing adventure. I mean, working on the creative side, I don't think I speak to it this much, but being able to wake up each day and meet with the narrative team and talk about all the cool storylines and plots and subplots and how we're going to weave that into the conceptualization of the characters and just bringing them to life, and then following up with the animation team and then the multimedia team and the artists that are involved in creating all the visuals and the environment artists and the concept artists and everything that we have planned and want to do. It's just amazing. It's just fun stuff. And I know that in a little bit, we're going to hear from our narrative editor, SeanRyan, who he's been with us for a while now. But this will be the first time that you guys get to, hear directly from the horse's mouth where he's been. He has a pretty exciting background that I can't wait for him to share. But also, how he's been able to elevate narrative and where we want to go with things. So that should be an exciting discussion. I will say that what would be something cool I could share? On your business card aggroed, you have the big aggroed, was it an orc? Big old hunkin' orc with arrows coming out of him and all kinds of stuff. So something that I can share is that Joey, our narrative lead, has been hard at work and trying to get things situated so that the splinter bite screen, when you're matched up with an opponent, you're waiting and you're looking at their screen, you're reading these little blurbs. We have high ambitions to improve that even more. So like the splinter bites you see, that's just like a portion of all the splinter bites we want to do. Eventually we want to transition splinter bites so that if you're in Bronze League, you're going to see different Splinterlands than Splinter Bites than if you're in Diamond League, and that you're going to get different strategic tips. You're going to get different lore and different things going on. And to support that, we're thinking we might get rid of the modal, the pop-up, and make it a full screen experience. You're going to have all this cool environment art in the background. And one of those Splinter Bites is about how if you're a company or a business and you want to partner with Splinterlands on tournaments or to get involved in the game in some way, some kind of collaboration or partnership, there's a Splinter Bite like that. And I have actually the wallpaper, the backdrop to support that Splinter Bites, and there is aggroed in his in all his glory. So I will share that with you guys just so that you can kind of get a taste, little glimpse of
That's hot.
of what that would look like. So aggroed is proudly displaying his muscles to the crowd who's all cheering him from afar. So that should be pretty cool. What else can I share? Usually I like to drop in little animations. I was looking through the project management boards, was yesterday or day before, and I came across the Cursed Wendigo attack animation. And I was like, oh, that looks pretty cool. So this is just it's not the finalized version, but you can see where our heads are at as far as a Cursed Wendigo attacking their opponent. So that's fun stuff. But yeah, we get to work on. Yeah,
I gotta say, so this version of aggroed is not beaten up enough. But,
you want him like bloody and
like maybe even missing an arm. I mean, like honestly,
missing an arm
if need be. He can grow one back later or something. I don't know, but like, you know, the you guys don't understand what it's like to be in this role of just like I got pretty beat up. So he's looking victorious, and it's kind of fine if he's victorious, but like, he's not even actively bleeding from anything as far as I can tell. Whereas he needs he's clearly he's like enjoying the adrenaline rush of winning as opposed to like being grateful that he's just alive. And that I think we need more of the latter there.
All right, no problem. I will tell the artist that you want to look more beat up.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
and possibly, missing an arm, which I would assume you would then pick up and start beating other people with your severed limb. Is the way you would do that.
Yeah.
Okay. No, sounds good.
I can lose like an arm or something and just build some cannon that I can get my arm back. But chopping off limbs, like he still has both of his ears, right? Like I'm not sure that that's even reasonable.
No, for sure. That makes sense. And there's the cursed Wendigo. It's the stuff of nightmares, man. So it sounds like you want to basically feel like you went toe to toe with the cursed Wendigo, and the result of that fight is what you want to look like. So, all right.
Yeah. I want the like cursed Wendigo. Yeah, there's like the scene in Indiana Jones where like the guy like shoves his hand through somebody's chest and like rips out his heart. Like I want to be like one step away from that. Maybe the heart is still attached, but like it's beating external to my chest, something like that. Like I'm like holding in my own intestines or something. That's where that ought to be.
Gotcha. So you basically want to be Bruce Willis from the first Die Hard movie. You want to be like, just by the end of the movie, you were just like
glass in your feet,
yeah,
like
you just
arrows in most parts of his body, like blood. He should be like a pale green because all of his like green blood is spilled. Like I don't know. He looks like he just like strolled through and kicked the crap out of like some little like I don't know, team of kobolds or something. Like, look, I won. That was easy.
Okay, I see. So you want to make sure that anytime you fight, it's against basically impossible odds. Take on an army of dragons. That's what you're going to do.
Yeah, and like what
okay.
was the it's crap. It was like Cowboy Bebop where Spike-Gu it gets like shot, stabbed, falls off of everything, and the like season 2 is if one molecule had moved differently, I would have been dead. That's where he should be. Like one line away. Like where's like the arrow sticking through his like eyeball going up?
Wow.
Not through his brain, but just like through an eyebrow or through his like eye bone or something.
So you always want to be 1 millimeter away from basically being the Black Knight from Monty Python. You're just all your limbs are gone. You're hopping up and down. Think you can take more.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Sounds good. I will relay all of that important information of the art team.
Yeah. He looks way too functional. Okay, so we have some animation. We have some changes coming. What about like progress on things like Wild versus Modern? That seems like the next one that's likely to drop. Like, did those guys do everything that they need for that, and they're just coding it, or are you guys still working on the changes from an artistic side?
Yeah. So typically, the way this works is like, like last town hall. Matt said, "Oh yeah, next month, no problem. We'll release Modern Wild and ranked rewards and all that. And I mean that's possible. That's possible. But it's definitely spoken from a developer mindset, which is like, how long is it going to take you to code this? I'm like, oh, I'll do that tomorrow, no problem. if you ask creative side, well, how long is this going to take? They were like, well, crap, we got to figure out the whole UX of it all, construct the UI, create a bazillion assets, animation, sound effects, all this stuff. It's going to take like really long time, right? But typically what we do is we end up somewhere in the middle where we kind of like, we try to do enough assets so that, when we launch with the bare minimum to provide the players with the features and functionality that they need, that it feels like at least like, okay, this is cool. And then over time, as we complete more and more assets and animations and sound effects and all the polish that we wished we would do right at the beginning, then that gets kind of added and integrated the game over time. And so it's just the real challenge is figuring out, okay, how much can we do at launch versus how much can we do over time, and just kind of that balancing act, trying to figure out what do we really need right now versus what'd be nice to have. And so from a creative standpoint, it's not whether or not we do all this stuff, it's a matter of in what order do we do it, and kind of like get that handed off to development so that they can go ahead and make those changes to the front end and the back end to accommodate all this stuff. So having said all that, I will say that there's a lot of great progress being made on all this stuff. For the initial launch, I suspect that the loot chests will look the same. They may be static. They're not going to move. They're not going to do anything. But the creative team is hard at work in making sure that over time, you're going to see different chests based upon, your quest or what's going on or what league you're in. And those chests will all look distinctive and have a different flavor to them. And you'll have chests that are closed, chests that are unlocked. And there's like this gleaming energy coming from within. And you're like, oh, what's going on there? I unlocked something. It's ready to open. And when you do, it's like this amazing animated experience with sound effects and music and backdrops and all the rest of the stuff that you would expect in a game that is now going from this little blockchain space to the mainstream. And that's really the driving fuel that keeps the creative side awake and passionate, is that's where we want to be. We want to compete with the big guys. We want to be at a AAA game studio level. And in order to do that, we have to make sure that the game looks and feels a certain way and sounds a certain way. So there's all kinds of cool things we're doing in order to support that. Some of them are very like technical in nature. And others are just freaking fun. Like we're expanding the sound and music and audio aspects of the game. And as we do that and hire people on to kind of tackle these things, one thing we had an idea for was a bard. For those of you who watch like The Witcher, there's this bard character. And so we're kind of like sinking our teeth in, okay, what songs would the bard sing about? Like we got these weekly stories we do. Would they sing about that? Would they be singing about other parts of the game? What could we do with that? And there's all these cool ideas, and music has already been produced, like the instrumentals, the lyrics, the singing, all of it. And I can't wait for you guys to hear some of this stuff because it's amazing. It's like, it's really cool. So I think you guys will be excited. Yeah.
Bravely ran away. When danger reared its ugly head, he bravely turned his tail and fled.
Wow. Yeah. Something like that, yes.
Old Monty Python. There you go. Yeah, like I guess, it's all cool to talk about toss the coin to your Witcher, but do you know Monty Python lyrics?
Yeah,
That's the real question.
That's where the OGs live.
All right. Well, thanks for that development. Any teasers you want to toss out there for land, or maybe the any market screens that have been done?
So I mean, we're in the wireframing design stages for all this stuff. So we got rank reward stuff. We have the Modern Wild. We have the land non-hard market we're trying to implement first, so that there's buying and selling of land plots that could occur. And there's all kinds of stuff we're doing. And there's UX and UI and art assets happening. But what's in front of us right now is probably rank rewards. That has slowly gone to the top of the priority list because we feel like it adds the most value to the community as far as, they want all this stuff, but what can we do right now? And rank rewards is what we're really trying to push really hard to get out as soon as possible. So something that I don't remember. Did Matt mention this last time or didn't he? I don't want to be the one to mention something I'm not supposed to.
Oh, you can spill some stuff.
I mean, I believe it was mentioned that we're going to be releasing a batch of new reward cards. Yeah, with that. And so, since we got a little bit of ways to go, I don't want to share anything super polished. I like to kind of lead up to it, but I can share some. How about some sketch art? That might be a good way to, like, every town hall we start off with some sketches. Then I show little by little as we get closer. I show more and more and the polished, colored stuff and everything. Let me see. I got. You know what? I'm naming these so that you guys don't have any idea, because I think that's part of the fun, right? Is trying to guess the element and what their stats would be and stuff like that. So here is one sketch of a character that you're okay. And also, I want to preface this by saying that what I'm sharing may not end up being in the reward cards. It might be what I do is the creative team gives Matt about twice as many character concepts than he actually needs. And the reason we do that is because during the character creation process, if we only created exactly the number of characters that are needed, then it puts him in a corner when it comes to stats and abilities. So as he assigns stats and abilities,
nobody puts developers in a corner.
Yeah, no one puts Matt in the corner. So we don't want to make it so that in the past, because he was put in a corner, it forced weird combinations. So you would see a character that, like, maybe has a bow and arrow or something, and it's a melee, or it might be a magic, or it has wings but it doesn't fly, or you'd have little exceptions here and there, and you're like, why is that? It's because we kind of put Matt in the corner. We only get so much artwork produced, and he had to kind of, when it came time to balance the stats and abilities, certain concessions had to be made, some give and take, and that's where we ended up. So to prevent that from happening, what we now do is we create way more character art than is necessary to do what we got to do. And then that gives him the flexibility and the freedom to make sure that the artwork matches the stats and matches the abilities, and everything's balanced and everything makes sense. And then the narrative team just kind of has to adapt, because sometimes when a little tweak is made, we got to go back and change the lore because it doesn't quite match up with what we had envisioned for that character. So a little bit of growing pains, but we'll get there. Hopefully we'll get to a point to where the character conceptualization is a nice, fluid, beautiful process. But so keep that in mind. I'm sharing some sketches. They may not make it into the reward cards, but if they don't, then guess what? You just got a sneak preview into possibly a Rift Watcher character, because whatever is not used for the reward cards is probably going to be utilized in the Rift Watchers. So here's one sketch. And I don't know, I'll share at least one more. So here you go. And there's another sketch. And so you guys can guess as to what these characters are going to be like and how they'll be utilized.
The bottom one looks like human meets gargoyle, or a little Batman like, or kind of like more literal Batman.
Yeah,
that's a jellyfish. I don't think she's a jellyfish. All right. So when you guys are making these things, do you have any what's your back in the day, I used to be like, look, I need a dragon with 7 heads and different colors. And that's like where Chromatic Dragon came from. Like how much detail are you giving to the artists from like either the lore or somebody else to be like, hey, here's what they ought to look like?
No, I mean, that's a great question. And I think that hopefully the players can appreciate the fact that we went from this system whereby we just kind of created artwork at random. And then we said, well, there you go, add some stats to that and we'll move on. Then after the stats were made and then they were going to be implemented in the game, we kind of put this little lore snippet on the back end, kind of like as an afterthought, like, let's add a little something. And then we slap that on. You guys should know that the process is completely reversed now. the level of detail that the narrative team has given, and I'm so glad that Sean's going to be on the show today, is just 100 million times more in depth, and there's more consideration given to the conceptualization of these characters now, because now it's not just pumping out some cool looking characters. Like, I think yesterday we were going through a ginormous, ambitious, crazy spreadsheet that the lead narrative Joey put together to go over all the races. And I use the term hesitantly, sub races. I think we're not going to call them sub races, but all the different racial variations affiliated with all the stuff we've got going so far in the game, and all the stuff that we have going forward, and how they tie in to the overarching story of what Splinterlands is, where it came from, where it's going. We're thinking like not like what are we doing with the game next week or next month. We're literally like thinking 2 years in the future. Like, where is this going, and how are these characters going to be utilized? No longer can we just say, well, this is a character for this card game, and there you go. It's more like, well, wait a minute. In the future, if there's boss fights and raid monsters, and there's campaign mode and story mode, and there's animated show, and there's comic books, and there's all this stuff, how does all that play in? And so these are considerations that the narrative team are making. They're like, okay, we need to take a step back, look at the big picture, and figure out, okay, what happens in the Riftwatcher story, what characters are going to play a big part in that. And then same thing with the big card set after that, and all these other mediums and different gameplay modes that may or may not come sooner rather than later. So there's all these considerations that are made with the character concepts. And so when you look at these characters and you're like, oh, that looks cool, or that was a cool story they published, or there's so much more. You guys don't have any idea. There's so much more thought, and it's because of what's to come. So for those of you guys who appreciate a lot of depth to your games, then I think you'll be satisfied with what we do in the future, because we're building a very strong foundation for it.
So the web-handed woman that's above makes me think that, like, she's invited me over to a dinner party, and I actually showed up, and her plan was to kill me. and she's just like smiling that I'm there, and like, oh, Agro, you've decided to come to your own death.
Yeah,
and
that looks about right.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I shouldn't have, but I heard there would be cheesecake. It's just something that was probably not a good plan. Okay, I got to keep moving on. Hey, WeirdBeard, do you want to give us any updates on tournaments and just sort of how that process is going? Have we lost all of our subscribers and battlers? Are they growing in number? What's this thing look like?
Tournaments are still way up. We're looking at a lot more entries. We've finally introduced a few Chaos Legion only tournaments that people are able to enter into. A lot of really good things. We also have linked up with our data team to really get a strong kind of like picture that we can back up. Like, hey, here's how many people we have entering. Here's how many people are placing consistently across all the different tournaments. Like, a lot of the things that we've been doing have been less like world defining stuff and much more like quality of life changes, while we power up for this next kind of big phase of what we're doing next in tournaments.
There's always been complaints that it's like there's only like 5 people that make any money in tournaments, and everybody else is just there is window dressing. Do you want to kind of address some of the like only good players win and this thing is entirely broken kind of commentary?
Well, I mean, the number one thing that I would always bring up is our brand new noob tournaments that we've introduced. We've made it really punishing for high-level players to be able to enter into those tournaments. We've made sure that there's more and more often, and people are able to enter into that. And you'll consistently, sometimes people will slip through, but the majority of names that you see in those noob tournaments on the like people who are placing and prizing are not the same ones that are competing in all those other tournaments as well. The other thing that we've really attempted to start doing is looking at making tournaments that are more competitive by having more people enter into them. Like that's one of the things I think where that comes from is because entry requirements are always kind of fluctuating for a while there right after the release of Chaos Legion, because the pricing of SPS and just the power that kind of flooded the market for the CP requirements. We've been really working hard at adjusting those. You can see it by how many people are now entering into more tournaments. Like it's kind of a chicken the egg issue to where if a tournament has 14 people that enter into it, of course you're always going to say the same people always seem to win those tournaments. 14 people were in it. Whereas now we're doing education by making sure more people know that these tournaments are available. We're doing better on our entry requirements and always listening to players who are able to enter into newer and different tournaments as well. And I would say that the other big thing that I'm really working on for, combating the same players always seem to win is that, we're working on a new phase of tournaments that isn't just about, how many cards you own and what your collection looks like. And so like, it's not just like you can adjust power and entry numbers, like they're just numbers, right? We have to also focus on adjusting and addressing the core underlying issue to that and how we approach what are tournaments and what do we use them for.
Rock on. So, yeah, I guess the next time let's go talk some numbers. Let's go prep some. Some data, some numbers on performance, who's winning, changes, and let's get a little bit less anecdotal and a little bit more into the weeds and spend some time on this next week and just sort of show, a month ago it was X, now it's Y, and let's track winners across different leagues. And let's look at the various tournaments to see, what kind of ratings do you need to actually start earning, and how are they performing? Is it over a 50% win rate? Can you earn with less than 50%? And just kind of go through anything that might be relevant to people considering tournaments.
Yeah, and the other big thing, because like I said, I've been working with the data team to pull all this data already ahead of time, so like we're same brain on this. But the one thing that we're also really taking a look at is how many players are winning tournaments of their rank. So, having players who are champion level players or diamond level players coming down into silver and gold tournaments is like antithetical, right? Like it's not a fun experience regardless. So like we really want to make sure that these tournaments, again, even if people aren't winning, it's not fun if I only win 2 tournaments. Well, you're also a champions level player playing in a silver tournament. So like we need to make sure that players are playing at their rank and being consistently competitive within there, because if you have a whole bunch of people entering into tournaments to just get washed, it's not competitive in the other way as well. So I'd love to be able to have those numbers and give like specificity to show that what we're doing is not only increasing turnout for these tournaments, but really addressing it is not a faucet for people to just collect on. I don't agree with that and never want tournaments to be seen as that.
Okay. All right. Hey, let's go invite some of the other folks on here to sort of like talk us through things. I want to start with Doogie, and then we're going to go to Rondon. So Ron, as he's wrapping up, that we'll try to give you a little bit of a warning. But Doogie, do you want to talk to us about who you are, what you do here, and how you kind of like build into the design plans and roadmaps and how you're involved?
Too easy. So, yeah, name's Andrew, go by Doogie, but as the VP of project management, I spend a lot of time working alongside of either Chicklet as our product designer or even our different data teams and all of our developers to be able to either organize how we're going to do a release or build in better processes and try and help Marionette master all the moving parts and pieces.
Okay. And then when you're doing the let's see, when you're trying to like build in, what kind of flavor do you bring to this gig? Like what's your mindset, and how do you help? I guess my constant question is something like, if we have somebody that's a player, how are they going to experience what you've done or help build or start, or like projects that you've worked on? What would they experience because you're here?
So true to my my career and my history, I spent a lot of time in the military, and overall, like the position I moved out of before I came here was managing, we'll say a few $1 billion worth of toys in terms of project management and operations and planning. But in one sense of the term, like if I'm doing my job right, there's you never see me. Like if I'm able to help organize how we're either processing things or what we're doing next, like I should be mostly transparent, and you guys should be able to see the benefits from all of the individual contributors on the team that help make it happen.
So we have a number of different projects, right? We have our wild versus modern, our land, sort of the platform team, and our rank rewards and the rapid deployment team. Like how are you engaging these teams? What are you providing for them, and what do they need from you? And how is that changing? How is that changing the pace or the experience or the information? Like what's that look like when your gig has been successfully put in place?
So generally, I would say what everybody feels is less stress and a more seamless like design, development, and then going out to execution and deploying phase. But like my day-to-day job is mostly like, okay, we have lots of data that we're looking at and we need to be able to filter, but we have all these developers and all these different people from across the globe working on the same project together, but in vastly different time zones, and being able to coordinate and collaborate on that. So I really spend a lot of time as like a person making sure that we're not running into any gigantic pitfalls or making any mistakes that we couldn't plan for ahead of time. And then past that, it's, hey, going to people and really trying to embody more of like a servant type leader. Like, what do you guys need? How can I help you? What do you need from a resourcing or care and feeding perspective? And just trying to help make the process go easier for everyone on the team.
Yeah, I got introduced to the term servant king not too long ago, and I have rather liked that of like, there's plenty of time. There's like one time in this business where I'm like the CEO and like the authority, and that's for setting priorities. And like, that is my job, my duty, my role. And when I'm there, I'm just doing everything I can to be as clear and concise and brief. And like, these are the priorities, and like, let that be known across the entire org. Once I've done that, and once I have executed that one single decree, my role completely shifts to what can I do to help or enable you? Like, what do you need from me? What can I help unblock? What can I do to speed this up? What authority, approvals, whatever do you need? How do we ship code faster than what we're doing? So I really appreciate that mindset, because I think the more that we humbly work to serve the other people here, the faster and better that we can organize as a team.
I totally agree with that. Like, in an ideal world, and the way that I want this to work is when the team succeeds, it's all on every person on that team that helped make that vision or that goal or that next phase of Splinterlands happen. And then if it goes wrong or something gets missed, that's on me. And everybody can come yell at me, and I'll do hey, this is what I missed. This is what I'll do better. But yeah, I'm here to help remove roadblocks for everybody else.
Awesome. Anything in particular that you're pretty excited about, or that you're getting like pumped for, or that your brain is kind of like swimming on? What's your focal point these days?
Other than jumping between all of the different projects and efforts that we've got, where everything is in different phases of either design or development or growth, I think I would have to say SPS validators. There's current news and everything aside, there's so many implications, and I think that's going to really kick open the door for people being able to see how we envision like gamifying all the great things we see in DeFi. And I think from there it's gonna be pretty sweet.
Yeah, I think Matt and I are both pretty like if I had to get a crystal ball and I had to like shake it and say what's going to change all of these things, like validators is one of the top ones of like this like maybe not the very initial implementation because you know that the first version of this is not the most sophisticated part. It is kind of the hardest part to get up and running. But when we start layering on more and more capabilities into the validators and we go from like, you know, a centralized game on a decentralized blockchain to a decentralized game on a decentralized blockchain, I like the things that we can do with that, I think are just astounding.
For sure. It's going to be awesome. I'm stoked.
Awesome. All right, Doogie. We're gonna keep moving on. I still got a couple other people, and I know that Rondon is gonna wanna talk to us. So let's go. Let's leave it at that. Thanks for being here. Thanks for working on this. You know, thanks for serving our country, and looking forward to figuring out, you know, how do we build these things better, faster, cheaper, deliver more code, and I'm glad that you're working on all these projects to help with that.
Until next time, so long, and thanks for all the fish.
You're welcome. I just want to say that the number of references that have been like 70s and 80s is going through the roof right now. You know, this is good. We had baby. Nobody puts baby in the corner. You know, we got Monty Python. You know, like these things are. We got Douglas Adams. You know, these are good references. I like these. I can follow along. All right, Ron, are you there?
I am here. How's my volume?
Hey, your volume sounds great. Ron, can you tell us a little bit about who you are and maybe what you were doing previously to this and now what you're doing here?
All right. Well, I'm Ron. You know, what I was doing before I came to Splinterlands, which is relevant to Splinterlands, is I was doing a 24/7 stream. We got a little bit of a train going over there, but that's okay.
Sorry, I can mute.
I was doing a 24/7 stream of Hive users, and you know, Agro brought me on, and I wasn't quite sure what he had in mind. I had no idea he wanted me to do it, but he brought me on to Splinterlands as sales operations, and so I've been working with the marketing team, and then he dropped it on me that he wants a 24/7 streaming of nothing but Splinterlands content to take over Twitch. Now, you know, that's actually a pretty tall order. And to make such a feat happen with streamers all around the world, streaming according to a schedule and it all being seamless and happening all in the background is it's really a feat of engineering, quite honestly, to make it all run like that. But luckily we got some good devs on our team. We've got a lot of patient streamers who have been testing with us this week. I don't know. There's been a lot of you guys, I guess, catching this stuff on Twitch, because we've already had like 20, 30 viewers average on our streams, which just being in testing without even announcement is pretty crazy. But now I'm expecting that you guys come show up. So we are going to be streaming 24/7 Splinterlands content in the very near future. Right now, we're not quite at 24 hours a day, but we are just starting with about 30 streamers to get everything going. And yeah, I expect to be close to 24/7. Besides, whenever we have events like the town hall, we're not going to be competing with each other. But other than that, yeah, we are going to try to take over Twitch.
So what benefits do you think that players in our community will see from us doing that? What's it do to have that kind of presence? Or like, are all these guys on their own channels? Are they on ours? Like, what's the structure of this look like, and how is it going to help our community?
Well, that's a good question. But I mean, fundamentally, you have to understand Twitch is a huge market for games. This is something that a lot of the big games already understand, that having a large presence on Twitch equates to having a lot of, a lot more eyeballs on their product, therefore a lot more butts in the seats, right? And what we want to do is show that Splinterlands is a fun game. Right now, you hear the words blockchain and the words NFT being thrown around when people talk about Splinterlands. But one of the things that really needs to be driven home is that underneath all that, underneath the asset ownership that is fundamental to the game, is a fun game to play. It's not just something that you go to do to farm rewards. It's something that you can have fun and enjoy. And we really want to share, from a community perspective, that experience. And on top of that, we want to share a lot of assets to empower other streamers to do things. We will be putting out a community kit with things like overlays, with things like scene transitions. A lot of fun stuff is coming out, maybe even custom stream alerts. And we're gonna give that to the community, so it won't even just be for Splinterlands TV. It'll be for everybody who's wanting to stream a Splinterlands game. We've got a lot of other fun things in the pipeline too, but I'm not going to quite talk about them until they're a little bit more concrete. But yeah, so empowering
okay. So let's
people,
say we get our folks here, like the players are streaming, and we're sponsoring some stream. What else? What's the benefit of that? Like how will that impact the game, the economy, the players? Like what do we get by having this? Why are we spending so much time and energy putting this together?
Honestly, it's comes down to advertising. It's just advertising that we are doing here. From a pure and simple perspective, that it's, this is one of the best avenues to do it. We could spend millions on Facebook ads, and maybe that's already happening. I don't even know. We could spend, tons on Google ads, and we could spend, but honestly, if we go directly to the gamers, show them a fun game, show them our community having fun playing the game, and build such a presence. Now, see, this is the thing. Splinterlands TV is going to be like the baseline. It's going to be like, it's going to be the foundation, but it can't be the entire part of this. It's going to take a lot more than just Splinterlands TV to do this. But what we're going to be able to do is show people the way, show people how it's done, show people or give people the tools to do it, and allow other people to take off with this too. And eventually what I want to see is the Twitch browse page recommending Splinterlands up near the top with the big dogs.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with this. This is part of what I was excited for, is like, I guess I would have used advertising. I like the term content marketing. And like what I like about that is that, we're rather than hitting somebody with like buy Splinterlands, buy Splinterlands, buy Splinterlands, buy Splinterlands, like that gets old super fast. Like nobody likes being sold to that way. Like when ads pop up on my whatever browser I'm using, I'm always like disgusted by it and like get this crap off my screen. But when you're like engaging in fun content and engaging with fun streamers, then it starts looking like, well, this looks fun. I'd like to participate. I could enjoy this. I like trading card games. This one looks neat. And like, to me, it gets it has a different feeling of, let's show you why this is fun and why you'd want to participate, rather than like, hound you for sales.
Absolutely. The thing is with sales, it's a repellent a lot of time whenever the marketing isn't when it's more of the standard traditional marketing. This type of marketing shows people to have fun. It's inviting. It makes other people feel like they're being left out if they don't join. And honestly, I'm reading some of this chat here. People are saying that this kind of stuff really has a big impact on user base. And I agree. Like, I don't really see this being ineffective at all. In fact, I think this might be one of the more effective approaches that we can even take. There is a few other people asking about promo cards for subscribing to the channel with Twitch Prime. I don't know. I don't think we're ever going to pay people to do something like that. But what we will do, like right now, it's not set up. We are getting geared up to accept subscriptions and donations. All of those are going to go directly to the streamers. This isn't something for us to make money. Splinterlands will not be making money on this. We are using this as advertising, and we really want to support our streamers who are on the Splinterlands TV. So any donations, any of that stuff, you guys You might not get anything from it, but you will get some. You will be able to rest assured that it's going directly to the streamers themselves.
Yeah, and I actually think that we'll end up doing some giveaways on these things. I mean, at some point, like, if we can show that this helps bring new users to the platform, then we'll start throwing money at it and be like, let's get more folks and get more folks until this thing breaks.
Well, I mean, I want to also add, like, I've sat in plenty of meetings with Chatter over the past 3 weeks or so. Robbie and I from our partnerships manager have as well. Like, the number of people on Twitch that are excited about play to earn blockchain games is like very understated. Like, it's hard to be able to separate kind of the toxicity and the general gaming culture between NFT and like monkey pictures. But when you take away certain terms and you tell people like, hey, it could be a CCG, it's going to be blockchain, it's going to be pay to earn, there's a lot of excitement from not just people in our space, but a whole wave of people that still have not been exposed yet and are still looking to, come on down the waterfall. So like this is not like a, hey, just pay, Ninja a couple $1 million to say the word Splinterlands on stream. Like it's a whole developing environment. Like, I hate using that word because it sounds very corporate, but like the Twitch in space is so vast and so large as like a truck. Like, the way that there are people who make a living simply living on Etsy, there are untold number of people on Twitch that are making an entire ass living just doing that. So being able to expose customers on that platform is just like it's a layup. Like, it's a layup if you do it correctly, and I feel like we're really positioned, especially with Ron, to be able to succeed in something like that.
So what's a good video game stream for us look like? Like, what, as you've been sort of like recruiting people or putting these shows together, what are the dynamics that you're looking for from either the hosts or the stream or visually or sound effects? What's that all look like?
Well, of course, we do have a minimum quality barrier, but honestly, the first thing that I look for, and the real meat of this, is passion. What I want is passionate people that are passionate about the game, because you can't get up there on stream and fake it and make other people excited about your game. You have to be legitimately passionate. And what I like is I've been watching these streams now for a couple of weeks, and these streamers, they get on there and they start talking about, I mean, and it's not even just gameplay, it's whatever, but they're excited about it. And they're telling their followers and telling the viewers about it. And that's really what we're looking for. As long as we, I don't want people with really crackly mics on there. I don't want, 8-bit graphics on there, unless they make it look good. But there is there's a standard of quality that we have, but above and beyond that, it's really just passion and making the individual the king of deciding how to orchestrate their own stream. Because honestly, if we try to direct them and tell them, this is what you should do, this is what you should put on your stream, this is how it should be, then everybody's stream is going to look exactly the same. It's going to be 24 hours of monotonous material. And really, it's going to take away the individuality that gives them the passion for the game. So I think that just really, really concentrating on the passion and letting them just work that out with, maybe a little guidance, maybe a little feedback, but other than that, just let them run. And that's really the way I'm handling this.
Sweet. Yeah, I can dig it. I support that. I guess if there was any other word I would throw in there other than passion, would also be expertise, and it's sort of like expertise in blockchain, expertise in playing in the game, and just really having a deep understanding of what we're doing. I think those two in combination are really what make us special, unique, and you need both the passion and some knowledge. And then with those two things, you can really be evangelical to a large audience. Now,
I'm going to have to disagree with the CEO there a little bit.
Go for it.
One of the things I really wanted to do was share all perspectives on this. I want to show what it looks like to play in Champion League with max level cards and having every single card for every single situation and what that's like. I want to show what it's like, the struggles in Gold League and Bronze League. But I want to show now. We don't have any novice people on, and we don't have the very bare, I just started playing Splinterlands yesterday and I want to do a stream about it. But we do have some Bronze League players on there who
I think that's, don't get me wrong. That doesn't, you can be an expert in bronze, right? Like an expert at how to play bronze. So I don't mean you have to have a large collection. That should not be.
Well, no, it's not even that though. Like,
I just think that you need to have like a broad understanding of blockchain, a broad understanding of how the game plays, and that those kinds of like deep, rich understandings of how this stuff functions. If you're just like, I don't know anything about this, but it's cool. Like, okay, that gets you so far, but being an expert, even if it's an expert at bronze, I'm good with that.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. And what I mean though, is there obviously should be a level of understanding of the game. Right. And yes, we don't want to have people who are, even if they bought a champion pack, if they have no knowledge about it at all, it's probably not going to be a good fit. But anyway, we do look for all sorts of perspectives. We do have some minimum requirements, but mostly everybody who's applied has got in, as long as they can find a slot that fits for their time.
Do you have non-English speakers that are part of this?
We do.
That's awesome.
There's a few Filipinos. We got a French guy who is signing a contract today. We have a Brazilian guy, but I think he speaks mostly in English. And we are going to bring on some Portuguese people who only speak Portuguese. So I've got to get a translator before we can get the contracts going. But yeah, we are making this a global thing. And, there is people from all over the world in all different languages who are going to be tuning into this. So we want to be able to cater to all that as well. 24 hours of just English content really doesn't make sense.
All right. Awesome. Well, Ron, I think I want to leave us there. Any kind of, if this is all super successful, what's it going to look like a year from now?
A year from now, you're going to go to Twitch. You're going to click the browse button. You're not going to scroll down very far to see Splinterlands on that list. That's what success would be to me, is just getting our name out there so much that Splinterlands is on the first page of Twitch, the browse category for games.
All right.
That's really where I want to be. Now, I do want to leave people with a few different links here. So if you want to be a streamer, here is the Google form that you need to fill out to get in line. Now, there is about 50 people in line so far right now, so you are going to be after them. But I will get to you eventually. We'll work through it. Interviewing everybody one-on-one takes a little bit of time, and I'm along with everything else, so just give me a little bit of patience. If you want to check out the full schedule we have right now, you go to https splinterlands.tv. That is our schedule. Oh, maybe I put an S in there for the chat, and there we go. And if you want to catch us live, you go to twitch.tv/splinterlandstv. And that's where you will see us. So that's what I wanted to say. Thank you very much for having me on here, Agrode. And
glad you're here. Thanks for being here, Ron.
You don't sound very enthused.
No. No, Ron. I'm stoked. I worry about all the memes that you'll generate from 4 years of friendship, but I'm glad you're here. Thanks for working with us, and really looking forward to the stream team and what we can do.
My pleasure. And yes, I'm very excited about this project. I see a lot of promise. I see a lot of enthusiasm and a lot of passion from the community. And there's only one way this can go. So I'm looking forward for the journey that you guys come along with it. And we'll see you soon.
Awesome. All right. So part of what made me want to switch gears is I was thinking about an expert. And we sort of have a silver expert with us today with Kira 1995. So Kira, I'm hoping that you can come on the show and just say hello and tell us who you are, what you're doing for the company, and tell us some of um, uh, your adventures in the Splinterlands.
Hello. My name is actually Corey, and I'm the financial support senior for the financial team. Sorry, I haven't done any of these in a while.
That's all
But
right. Now you got a funny accent. Are you from Oklahoma? That
no,
would be my.
I'm actually from Mississippi.
Yeah, I know. I was about to preface that I will ask anybody with an accent if they're from Oklahoma. But all right, so you're from Mississippi. So
Yeah.
how'd you find Splinterlands in the first place?
Well, it kind of started with doing a whole lot of different research. I used to be big on like documenting sort of, I guess, like economic world news, and then I was like also into the like explaining capitalism versus socialism and trying to expose like corrupt central banking, all that sort of nonsense. And I would talk to like 20 different people on Twitter at the same time, and I had like a big network going on. So we just had like different information feeds, and it's like eventually that kind of led to what Bitcoin actually did, and that's kind of how I got into this space. I started like researching different projects, like all the privacy coins, and I kind of got into Electronium, and whenever they mentioned Splinterlands, that's actually how I found here. Like I was following Dino, Digit Spin.
Yep.
Yeah, and he introduced us to this.
Yeah, talk about passion. That guy just exudes it nonstop. He's awesome.
Yeah.
So what does it mean to be the finance lead for the support team? Like what do
Oh,
you
that
actually do on a day-to-day
I'm not the lead.
basis?
I'm the senior. Con's the lead.
All right. Well, sorry
Yeah.
that I misspoke, but what's the gig day to day? What do you do?
Mainly anything relating financially, like stock transfers. I'll review and gather information, set that up for Biz, or actually, I'm not sure if Biz still handles like all the stuck wax and all that. But there's the payments failed to get credits, and uh, airdrops not being credited, all that sort of stuff.
All right. Well, some of that takes kind of like dev type snooping. So
Yeah.
where's your background come from that makes that like a good fit, or like that were you doing a lot of like checking on the chain prior to being here, or did that start with Splinterlands, or how'd you get some familiarity with, digging through transactions and whatever else you need to do?
I just have a pretty good experience. Like I'm a fast learner in general. Like uh, digging is like almost all I've done, and like I've just done a ridiculous amount of it in my life for like so much work for free. Just documenting digging, finding things, leading the uh, I don't know what you say, like the relay network or somewhat. Like I would actually do my own like sort of cryptic investigations and stuff. It's like dog tweets and all that. I don't know if you've seen any of that going on Twitter. Like I would
Uh,
actually be the one trying to find and translate them.
That's cool. All right, and then you've been playing in a bunch of tournaments and playing the game for a while, right? Do you want to
Yeah.
talk us through a little bit of your accomplishments and career so far in the Splinterlands and how you participate?
I've been just getting along with the community for a while. I started, I think for the first maybe 2 or 3 months, I started playing bronze, and I was competing for those leaderboards. I was somewhat around the top. I can't remember where I was, and eventually I just decided to start throwing all my money at this and start building a silver deck. I was planning on eventually like moving on up slowly, like as I had the money to fund it, but it seems like gold might be far out to like if I want to level up Valnamore and everything else. So everything's so pricey now.
I think these are pretty good prices these days, but
Yeah.
I hear
I still
it's
think it
still
is too. I just spent like $100 yesterday on that mermaid healer.
nice. Yeah, she's great. And then you've had some success in the tournaments and playing in silver, right? Like you do a
Yeah.
lot of the silver play.
Oh
So
yeah, I used to play like Yu-Gi-Oh and Magic the Gathering. I just build like all sorts of different jank decks. Like I'm more of the creative type, and I want it to win in style rather than just win. And I guess some of that just kind of the deck brewing came that skill kind of transferred over here.
yeah. So my goal is always like when somebody comes to Splinterlands and they're like, I know exactly what that is. It's a trading card game. And then they play for like 2 minutes and they're like, oh crap, this is totally different. Is that your experience having come here from some of those other games?
It was a little different, but it wasn't all that hard for me to pick up.
Nice. All right. So if I like this question, if a player has experienced your work at this company, how will they experience it, or what what will be the benefit to the player? What will they get? Or what will change for them?
Like experience from what I'm doing.
Yeah, from the work that you
Okay.
do at the company, how does it benefit players directly in case somebody kind of missed the role?
Okay, I guess they can be assured that they'll receive their assets and nothing goes wrong. And I used to do a bit of everything because I think we were a bit of a smaller team back then, but we got split into different departments. But I was burning like 100 or so tickets a day at some point. We were like, I think at some point we were getting like hundreds or maybe even 1,000 a day. That was like months back. I've been trying to like. I was one that really wanted to see the ticket numbers go down next to zero.
Sweet.
Hey,
All right.
I have a
Anything that?
question.
Oh, hit us.
Yeah, how many times do you get to tell someone to turn it off and turn it back on?
Oh, yeah, I used to work for the DHS, and that happened quite often, actually.
Okay, let's. I don't know. Anything you want to leave the audience with? I want to get to. Oh, did we lose? We lost somebody, right? Or we had one other.
We had
SeanRyan,
Sean,
right?
yeah.
Did we lose Sean? I don't know. Maybe Nate can track him down. All right, I think we're gonna go. I think we'll end it here. We're a couple minutes over on the just like discussion section. If we get Sean back in, we can go talk to him. Kira, any last thoughts you want to share with us?
Not that I can think of, really.
Okay. All right. We'll stick with
Oh
that.
yeah, I do have about the same vision as you. Like, I like making a difference. I've seen like the darker places in the world, and I'm just happy to be part of something that's gonna make a big change.
Yeah, that's my hope, and that's my plan. My goal is to go, spread as much peace, prosperity, and freedom as we can, and
Yeah.
and I think this game, and not just this game, but like the cryptocurrency in general. I just think that this game is kind of like the easiest way to get into that. So I have high hopes for what we in our community can do. That's awesome, and you had a very funky sound with that. All right, so let's go do. Hey, Sean, are you there? Can you speak with us? Also, thank you, Kira. You got to unmute, Sean.
Yep. Hello.
Hey. So I hear you're on the narrative team. Do you want to go kind of talk through what your background is, how you found Splinterlands, and then kind of what you do?
Sure. Yeah. My background is I've worked in comics for most of my career. So I was a assistant editor, Marvel Comics in the X-Men office, and then I was an editor at DC Comics, mostly in the Superman office.
Hey, do you have a preference between Marvel or DC? Is this too difficult to
I
share?
mean, I would
No,
probably
that's a
pick
good question.
Marvel, if you gun to my head. But I mean, they both have their pros and cons.
All right. And so you were editing comic books. So like, are you?
Yeah.
Is that just the text that's built within that? Like, would you have to spell check the like?
Well, you do it a little bit, but like they do have proofreaders who can really catch on spelling stuff. But you're doing text. You're doing you're basically a producer for the comics. So you're basically from start to finish of with writers and planning out storylines, and then working with the artists and colorists, and doing long-term planning and then short-term script reading and collecting the artwork, making sure the artwork's coming in on time. You're basically responsible for putting all the pieces together and making sure it goes out as close on time as you can.
So, Splinterlands has a fair amount of characters and content and some background story. Have you ever thought that maybe we could be doing a comic book? Is that something that crosses your mind ever?
For sure. That's something me and Nate have talked about a lot, and we're actually in the very early steps of figuring out one right now. So, yeah,
Sweet.
it's definitely something we want to do.
Do you have like a world bent of like, all right, if we produce this thing, what's kind of like a central theme?
A little, sort of. I don't want to get too much into it because it's still very early, and I haven't even talked to Nate about it yet. So I don't want to say it's this, and then who knows? It all.
Well, you're talking to the CEO, and he doesn't mind having his arms cut off. So it's probably a bad idea to not give him what he wants.
Oh, nice! He lays down the gauntlet. There you go. Wow. You just got strong armed. Let's hear it. What's
No pun
where do you want to
intended.
go with this? What are you hoping for?
Well, I mean, the goal for me is to just. I mean, I've loved being involved in Splinterlands so far, but I just want to make it. You want to make something that maybe someone who hasn't even heard of the game before maybe sees it out in the open and can be brought in to Splinterlands, the world, in a way of learning who all these interesting characters are and learning what the world is. And I want to kind of make sure to do it in a sort of a little easy to digest way at first, and then before totally engulfing them into the lore of Splinterlands. So the best way to do that, I think, is the way we're going to go.
So if I had anything that I could sort of like chime in with this,
Yeah.
So I'm a chemist. Are you familiar with the term equilibrium? Do you know what that means?
I'm familiar with it. Maybe not the exact definition.
It's like a steady point where, if sometimes when water is boiling, but it's also condensing and coming back into a pot or something, it would be the point at which it is exactly equal the amount boiling and exactly equal the amount coming back in. And depending on how you shift temperature, pressure, and other things, it can change the state of equilibrium within that little pot or whatever it's doing. And I think the narratives that are often in the world and in comics and in lots of things tend to be very, very bipolar in the sense of like, it's just simply good versus evil. It's like it's the rebellion versus the empire. It's like the treasure hunter versus the Nazis. It's pretty clear to everybody in the audience who the good guys are and the bad guys are. And, some of that is appealing, but like things that I thought made Game of Thrones really good, along with a lot of like ways that he would generate character, is that oftentimes a lot of those things were in like gray realms. Like, is it right to kill this person? Is it wrong? Is it good to use force here or bad? You're not just killing like G.I. Joe drones and nobody's actually dying and you're just destroying robots. And the robots are clearly trying to take over the world. So we all know that it's okay to do this. But you have, I like to think of it through the lens of like some existentialism where you have like your mother is dying of some disease, but your country's at war and your brother needs you to fight with him on the front line. Like, where do you choose there? Like how, because I think that tells a lot about the characters, the stories, the story arcs, like when they're forced into these gray zone decisions, and it's less about right versus wrong and more about like, well, these people need this thing for survival and those people need this other thing for survival, and they're fighting over it. And maybe they're not even communicating. So like, when I think about like the intro to the, if we ever make like an animated series, I'd love to see like, a butterfly flaps its wings, a giant looks over to it, pushes the boulder falls into like a stream. The stream stops operating that way. And then all kinds of chaos ensues just because like some random boulder moved and now there's different like resources in the planet. And then the discussion isn't so much, are these guys good or bad, but it's like, are there ways that they can barter or exchange for these things? Do they just start fighting with each other? How do these problems like crop up? How are they dealt with? How do these like organizations that are behind the cultures and the communities interact with each other? And so much of that is not just like right versus wrong. It's shades of gray. Maybe some people are acting nobly, maybe they're sort of acting selfishly. Where do all those boundary lines lie?
Yeah. Well said. Agreed. Yeah, I think it's important that every character, even if it's someone's the antagonist and someone's the protagonist, they're still people and they're still characters, and not to make people into caricatures or cartoons.
Yeah, I mean, I think George Martin does that really well of making very three-dimensional characters, and he seems to have that like pattern of giving them some gift or ability, showing it off strongly, and then cutting that, like sometimes literally cutting that ability off from them, and then you're left trying to figure out who is this person in the absence of the thing that made them great. So I'm thinking about
Right.
like I forget the blonde guy, but the blonde fighter.
Oh yeah.
And then they cut off his hand, and it's like, well, who is he if he doesn't have his hand? And then when that happens, you get all this sympathy for the character too, and that's amazing because you have sympathy for a character that's running around killing everybody. Like
Right.
that's sort of amazing. So how do we generate character lines and storylines that facilitate loving controversial characters or loving controversial storylines or and ultimately just kind of like how do we get the kids right, like what do the kids think is cool, what do we need to be talking about for this generation of comic book readers that might be different
Right.
than the last.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's all something you gotta put in the stew and mix and see what comes out.
Random aside, just for the audience, when I was in college, I graduated in 3 years. So I just graduated with a degree in chemistry. But had I spent the fourth year in college, I would have done chemistry, education, and theater. And a lot of like the theater courses I took were screenwriting, playwriting, and performance art. Because I like at some point I've held this belief about storytelling, and for like me personally, like I've gone from progressive Democrat to fairly conservative to raging anarchist, or maybe even had like a little libertarian stint. And I think how we one of the things that I've noticed is that you get a lot of stories of like left versus right, but you don't get a lot of stories of like how would even communities that want to preserve their individualities of like real republics. You get kings and queens and you get full democracies, but you don't really get like a lot of in between that. Not too many like functional republics or something like that.
Right.
Or even just like frontiersman stories. I'm interested in like that's kind of the Firefly kind of series of what's life look like at the edge of this thing.
Right.
So I think playing around with like government types and storylines that seem inconsequential, especially at first, but then all these like random coinkydinks kind of come together to build something different. That to me is dreamy.
Cool. Yeah, I mean that sounds great.
So when you were producing these things, what would like a team look like to you?
Like the writer, and
Well, like the whole like okay, so they got like 50 million lines of comic books. So like
Yeah.
what's if you're on the like Dragon Larper comic book team, like how many people are on that team, and what does that thing actually look like?
Well, I mean, I'm trying to think of the best way to answer that. I mean, for example, I'll just use my example. Like when I was in the X-Men office, there was our senior editor, the guy in charge, and then another mid-level editor, and then me I was the newest person. So there's the three of us in the X-Men office, and we're responsible. Back then we were responsible for 15 to 20 comics a month. So we're responsible for putting out those books that month. Each book has a writer, a penciler, an inker, a colorist, and a letterer. All those people are freelance, so they're all just working from home or wherever. So you're just trying to coordinate with all those people every month to get things out on time. And then in-house, there's production people who will take the coloring and the lettering when it's all done and put it together. And then from there, it gets published.
So, do you have thoughts on like NFTs and comics? Do you think that's a good fit? Do you think that the audience would appreciate these things being completely digital? Do you think that the fan base would say, "To hell with this"? Or why would I buy that? I can't even hold it. Like, what? How do you think that the kids these days would respond to a full NFT comic book?
It's a good question. I mean, I don't know what kids are thinking that too much in terms of NFTs. I mean, I think with anything, there's probably folks who would be super down with it because they like the new stuff and stuff that feels like the future. And then, I mean, with certainly there's a large contingent of comic book people who don't like the future and want things to say exactly the same. So I think you would just hear from both sides of people who are like, "This is exciting," and then people go, "Stop trying to change the thing I like."
All right. So anything that you kind of want to impart to us? Any last bit? I think I should probably start answering some questions here. But anything that you want to kind of leave us with?
Other than that, yeah, well, just what I do besides this comic stuff on a day-to-day basis is working with Nate and the rest of the narrative team of editing and working on getting the lore and the blog stories that we see and trying to tighten up the lore and make things more exciting and just looking at the game from more of a narrative standpoint and less of like the game mechanics standpoint to try to see if to make the world of Splinterlands as exciting as playing the game.
How long do you think it would take for us to actually get a comic book out into the world? Like,
that's a great question. I mean, it depends if you want to go all digital, if you want to publish it. I mean, if you want to just publish it digitally, like you could get a comic done in like 2 months. If you're just like speed rocketing ahead, if someone you write it, someone draws it, and you just put it out digitally. Printing it is a whole nother matter because you'd have to maybe partner up with a publisher and stuff who has the infrastructure to have a printing press and publish it and then get it out into stores through like distributors.
Do you think that those stores and distributors could be good sources of new players for this game, and we should think of that sort of like a marketing piece, or like content marketing and getting people involved that way, or do you think that this environment of like crypto play to earn gaming and the comic space are not yet aligned enough that would be a real draw to players?
I think it would be I think there's I would say there's probably definitely overlap between those two worlds. And yeah, I think getting Splinterlands out into areas where it's not just NFT or digital world, I think could certainly help of just getting the name Splinterlands out there in front of people. Like if you're going to a comic store and perusing and then you saw a comic called Splinterlands, that might be the first time you see that name and it makes you interested and you look into it and then you realize what it is and how cool it is and then you go from there. Like it never hurts, I think, to just get it into as many different places as possible and see who you can pick up.
Yeah, I dig it. I would love to see a book. I'd love to see role-playing games. I'd love to see comic books. I'd love to see tabletop games. And there's like a Splinterlands section when you walk into your game store. And here's like a little quick card game. Here's an in-depth board game. Here's a comic, and here's your Axis and Allies version of plastic miniatures battling each other on a giant board.
Yeah, I mean it'd be unbelievable.
Be dope. All right,
like
well, Sean,
name.
Yeah, and I think once you get into the stores, I feel like, all right, maybe we can't get them directly with this digital thing because we actually have to go where the customers are.
Mm-hmm.
And if the customers are there and we have comics and we have these like board games, and then I have thoughts like, you include a promo code in every book. So the comic book costs you $4, but then you get a $10 free starter account. Okay,
there you go.
well, that's weird. I just made money for buying this comic.
Yeah, that's a great point.
So
Yeah, it's just a way to get people in.
yeah. So I see it as like a content marketing play,
Yeah.
and hoping to get new people in, but also just like I nerd out about comic books, and if we could have one that's our own, it's been a while since I've collected anything. But I got like Spawn Zero in my collection
There you
here
go.
somewhere. That's my era.
Bond.
Yeah,
Yeah, nice. Image
Spawn is
Comics.
fun. Yeah, Image definitely went. I liked Image more than everybody else.
No, that was my I loved Image back in the day, when they first started.
Gen 13, etc.
Yeah.
Sean McFarlane is a rock star. Okay.
Thank you.
Sean, thank you. I appreciate you being here. I'm like stoked to get the kind of like
My pleasure.
background that you have in this company, and hopefully before too long we'll be editing a whole host of narratives across a whole bunch of products that will be available in physical stores, and that's just part of what we do here.
Awesome.
All right, awesome. Thanks for being here.
Yep, my pleasure.
All right, Beth, are you there, my dear? Could you possibly share with us the questions for the AMA? Maybe there's somebody other than Beth that has those kind of compiled today. I thought she was here. It was probably like the 1 second that she stepped away. Okay. Well, given that I don't have that list just handy, why don't we go? Oh, maybe chat is stalled. 5:20. Yeah, it's been 5 minutes. Oh yeah, it's frozen. Can you hit me in Slack? Yeah. All right, let's go do that. Sorry, guys. That's actually not her fault. I'm blaming Discord for this one. Let me check Slack here. It should be here in just a second. There's Ron. So I got the questions. So let me go through these. I don't quite know how to share the questions with the audience. There's only 2 pages of these things, and I can see Beth right there in it. I'm sure she's like shaking her head of like, she's always so on top of things. Okay, so here's tournaments. I actually saw this before. I'm thinking about getting enough gold foil to push my collection into a competitive space for wealthy Gambit gold foil. What kind of assurances are there that the power requirements won't jump up the day after I drop another 20 to 40,000 into the game? And I think that was mostly for WeirdBeard. So
Yeah.
I can answer again. WeirdBeard, are we pushing the requirements up?
No, actually, quite the opposite. Tournaments entry requirements are never going up; they're consistently lowering. So we're making sure that more people are able to enter into these tournaments. So I can assuredly say, like, you're never going to just have all of a sudden be gated out of tournaments because power levels rise. We're always trying to make it so that more people are able to enter.
All right, next up, when will we have brawler tournaments again? And these are the synchronous ones.
Yes. So we're still working on being able to get that out. Dev resources, as always, are quite hard to come by. So we're working on being able to not only make sure that our dev team can support that and do that the way it should, but we're focusing on doing more synchronous tournaments coming up here shortly after we did our community gaming one on the 19th and the 20th. So you should be able to start seeing more synchronous tournaments roll out within the next month or so.
All righty. Can we get a ballpark price for validators? Will there be enough time between the announcement of price and sale for people to unstake SPS if needed? That's generally not what we've done, but that's a good point. I think the price will be dynamic. So as more and more of these things sell, I think the price will continue to go up. So I don't think there's going to be one set price for validator licenses. Will there be a KYC for the SPS governance licenses? If not, what mitigation would be in place to prevent one human buying a bunch of licenses, effectively serving a significant percentage of SPS validation? So there's 2 parts to this. I don't think KYC will be part of that. If not, what mitigation will be in place to prevent one human buying a bunch of licenses, you'll actually be welcome to go do that, and effectively serving a significant percentage of SPS validation. So in the current design, we're thinking about having both a witness system and sort of like an everybody can run the like if you have one pool of validator rewards, some portion of the pool will go to elected witnesses or block producers or validators, and the other part, which would be the majority, would just be going to people that run and that have the license and run it and run that software. So this is sort of like a have your cake and eat it too moment. Looking at Hive and saying, hey, having a set number of people that are required to go upgrade their nodes to like get rewards and run the chain, that's great. But then it doesn't always lead to like thousands of people, because if you're not in the top 20, the incentive goes down. So part of the structure is to have that so that if there are hard forks and things that need to go into place, we can do it. But then afterwards, we can also just have people running validator nodes and getting paid for that. So all of that is part and parcel to that. Any time frame on when Jin Renova will be buffed? Yeah, I guess she's missing a stat improvement in one step. So we should go. I'll ask Matt about that. It was mentioned in the last town hall that new reward cards would be coming. The current reward cards are shown to have around a 30 to 40% print distribution. Would that mean that the new reward cards would be issued along with the current ones, or would the current reward cards print run be cut short? Yeah, I don't think that we're cutting them short. I think we're just adding more. But anything is TBD until it's formally announced. Could Splinterlands provide a chart or raw data about Chaos Legion pack selling performance? Maybe. I don't know. There might even be something generated, but I can't do that like on the call right now. When will the updates for the starter deck be released? I actually don't know. I don't know what we have planned. My CTO and some of the folks haven't been around for the last couple of weeks, so I'll have to get in touch with them to get the latest. Battles. In regards to win trading, wouldn't it be easy for somebody to run a bot to verify their last 5 matches to the current opponent's last 5 matches? Yeah, it's possible that they could do that. So I look at this as sort of an experiment to see if it makes a positive change. And if it doesn't make a positive change, we'll go look into it. Can you provide a timeline of when you'll be giving an updated roadmap? Also, thanks for all your hard work. The team is great. So I have in front of me an updated roadmap, but I haven't had a chance to talk to Hardpoint about it. And I guess I have a board meeting tomorrow, and I can see if there's any reservations to publishing parts of it tomorrow. So we'll see. I think we're pretty close. So it might not be this week, it might not be tomorrow, but we're getting pretty close to being there. Why double the reward pool for Modern versus Wild instead of 50-50? Because of the amount of DEC that we produce doing this is not all that large. So there's plenty of room for that. I noticed that the preview of the new players' records, best rating, highest rank, etc. for the 2 formats, what happens to our current stats? Will they be converted to Wild format or reset? They probably won't be reset. I guess just going forward, they'll be displayed differently. But I don't know. That's a good question. Nate, is that something that you guys have looked at, of like how you look at the previous records?
Well, I mean, everything's TBD, but up until we get to Modern Wild and implement those changes, all the stats are essentially Wild. So I don't see why we would just throw them away. I would think that they would just be grandfathered in as the Wild stats to date, right? That would make the most sense.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have a particular version. Ronan Hack, how safe are our assets here at Splinterlands after the Axie hack and 625 million worth of crypto stolen? I would like to hear your take on this. Yeah, any system is going to be prone to hacking, and when you run bridges like this, especially when they're decentralized, that these things could happen. I don't want to say that they can't. We spend a lot of our time making sure that things like this don't happen. From what I can tell, there were some mistakes made by the Axie team that led to that hack of leading some of the settings incorrectly. Maybe having a little bit too much centralized control of how the bridge operates. So I don't. We are prone to some of those risks. So I don't want to say that we are like scot free of it. But we've made some different decisions along the way than they did leading up to this. I mean, hopefully, you can't just like wander off with a bag of $600 million in cash and hope that you're going to be okay. There's probably authorities that are coming after these people. So even if you can pull off the heist, getting away with the heist is going to be pretty challenging too. But mostly I just my heart goes out to those guys. Like the space is so small that they're not people that like we wish death or ill upon. They're pretty good dudes. I've met a bunch of them. Like I've met Gio a couple times. Seem like decent people, and I'm sad to see that happen to their community and to their game. And it would be better off for all of us if crap like that didn't happen in crypto. So I would say it's a known risk, and we have tried to prevent it, and we do our best to not be in a situation where that many nodes can be compromised all at the same time. A question: is there a feature coming up in an update where you can create card presets to use in battle, so that way you can just select the preset quickly instead of finding the same cards for the same match? I don't know. I don't know if there's presets in here. I don't think that's a feature that I've seen. But if that is something that if that's what the community wants, I tell you, go put that on feedback.splinterlands.com. Can you add a news update media page to the website? So that's something that I know that Chatter's been really looking at and wanting to have. I don't know what the progress is on that, but I think that's definitely on that on the radar.
I know for a fact that it's there's movement. It's just making sure that we're able to do it without breaking everything else. So that's something that's high on the priority list, because getting communication inside of the game and not just on Discord is like a major win for everybody involved. So it's a high priority action item right now.
Sweet. Is Waka Spirit Blade also a totem that can be used on your land? No, he is not. Is it planned in challenges to give us the option to choose from all editions? Also, Gladiator cards would help a lot to prepare for tournaments and just for fun to play Gladi more. Yeah, we haven't touched challenges in a while. That's probably one of the things that the rapid deployment team can look at. I don't think we'll do anything until some of the modern and wild changes are put in, but maybe that's like a quick thing that they could implement afterwards. That's a good suggestion. Have you considered a max power as well as a minimum power cap for lower league tournaments? Well, yeah, I mean that's what the lower leagues do. They set a max power. So we nerf the cards in those leagues, and then we have like no legendaries and no legendary summoner rule sets. All of that is to cap the max power that's out there. So we don't set it by power, we set it by kind of like funky rule sets, but I think that's already kind of covered in the settings.
Yeah, and the other issue with it too is that like those lower level tournaments, you can delegate away all of your power or rent it all out so it's not included. Like there's easier ways to kind of jump over that bar. So again, like the solution is not to make it so that you just put in a certain number and people have to get under or above it. It's got to be more endemic of like, what can we do to stop players from very high tournaments or skill levels entering into those lower level tournaments that they don't belong to? You can't just do it by setting a magic number. It's got to be like, okay, what's the reason that they're going down there, and how do we, root that out, as an actual solution?
This week we have a couple cheers that are in here, so this is nice. Thank you for being accessible each and every week. It's amazing you stay so connected to the community. You guys are awesome. These AMAs are the best thing to help keep the core community in the know. And thank you so much for your time. Yeah, guys, we're in this for the long haul, and we're here to go build the biggest freaking community that we can in mainstream crypto. And we need you, and we need you to spread the game and buy our assets and hold the assets and help us build. And you guys presumably would like us to stick around where we can develop new features and game modes and give more utility to everything. And between us being a part of the community and us all working together, I think that's pretty awesome. So it's our pleasure to be here. Okay, so we don't have too much time. We got about 20 minutes. But if you guys have questions, I would say let her rip and ask whatever you want. Just the standard rule, guys. Keep it PG-13 and try to be pleasant and like these folks are doing. Please put question in like full caps or bolded or something to help make sure that I can spot it easily. So Gene Pool's asking, any updates on sports-based promo cards or the in-game store for things other than cards? The sports-based promo card stuff is still under development. I think we're hiring somebody in April for this. That is like a PhD computer scientist to go help us like lead the development efforts. So I'm pretty excited about that. And then for the in-game store for the things that aren't Splinterlands like card assets. I think that the non-card market. So I think it looks like the non-card market UI UX design has been completed. So
Well, sort of. we have wireframes. We have wireframes. And there's also multiple stages to it. So phase 1 is probably going to have a market page and a collection page that looks similar to how it is in the game now. And then phase 2 will be probably a revamp of how sorting and filtering happens. I know the community at large has had probably plenty on the feedback page too, where it's like, hey, can we sort by this? Can we filter by that? Can we do this? Can we do that? And the answer is yeah, but we're going to have to revamp, the sorting and filtering and how all that works on those pages. And we'll share more as we get closer to making those changes happening. But yeah, phase 1, we got the wireframes and we're actively got the UI being worked on right now. And then the implementation, once the UI is handed to devs, will be relatively quick. So.
Okay. Dishonesty is asking, will the problem of market bots placing buy orders on the same block as sell orders ever be addressed? The last town hall said it's easy to fix. I think that's due for April 5th, but I'm not positive. I don't have a dev on the show with me this week to go confirm, but I think that one's coming.
Definitely on our radar and being worked, and we're doing our part to make sure that we can QA everything, make sure there's no unintended consequences.
Okay, so if it's not April 5th, it'll be like April 19th, but we're trying to get that thing out. Is there any update you can share with the new athlete joining Splinterlands soon? Maybe a hint on the sport, retired or active, male or female? No, I don't want to give any alpha on that yet. We're still a little. I haven't signed the contract. In fact, I got my contract back. I barely had a moment to review it, so I got to get that done and get that back out. For the Modern Wild split, it's been said that tournaments will be able to differentiate between Modern and Wild reward cards. Will it also differentiate between specific sets? Chaos only reward cards or chaos only tournament?
Yeah.
I think that's a yes.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a lot of UX stuff that has to be sorted out, and that speaks to what I just said about the sorting and filtering. That needs a revamp, and that's part of the reason it needs a revamp, is because as we push forward with Modern Wild, it's more and more important that the major sets are seen as parents, and these other cards that are distributed while the parent is active are considered children of the parent, and that's not clearly established in the current sorting, filtering that's live right now on the website, and that does need to change, and it will be changed so that eventually players can easily distinguish whether you're on the market page, the collection page, you're doing a tournament, whatever. The intention is that yes, all the reward cards and all the mini sets and all the promo cards that are kind of like introduced into the game while Chaos Legion is released will be associated as kind of like almost like expansions of the Chaos Legion set. And then as we release a new core set, then rinse and repeat that process so that all the reward cards, all the promo cards, all the mini sets are now associated with that parent instead of this parent over here. And that definitely needs to happen. Otherwise, it's going to be a little crazy.
Okay. Chaos Control is trolling me and asking who is the best poker player at the company. He wants me to answer him, but he is the best person at the company who is not the CEO. Question is, what is the mana of the upcoming summoners? I don't think that's been announced yet. What kind of timeline are we looking for new reward cards to be added? Month, 6 months, or a year? Nate, you're probably closest to that. How that didn't sound far away to me.
No, I mean, when we launched the new changes to the rank rewards, we literally want to introduce around. Right now, the plan is to introduce around 10 on top of the reward cards that are already being distributed right now. So add 10 more cards as kind of like a wee celebration. We're doing this cool thing, and you can earn more chests. But guess what? You also get all these new reward cards that might be in the chests as you win them, to make things even more exciting, more enticing, more more motivating to the player. Now, like I said earlier in the town hall, I'm giving Matt like twice as many characters that he needs, and I'm not saying this is going to happen, but it happened with Chaos Legion, where I like, hey, look, here's more characters to give you more flexibility, and Matt was like, ooh. And so what happened? Chaos Legion went from a regular sized card set to like suddenly it was the biggest card set we ever released to date. And part of that was because I just gave him more characters and said, hey, which ones do you want? And he's like, all of them. So if he does that, then who knows what's going to happen. So, we'll see.
All righty. Casimirio is saying he's working on an airship. That looks fun. That's pretty cool. I like that. Scrubs is asking, will a single SPS validator node be able to receive rewards from holding licenses as well as being on the top of the witness list? I think so, but I haven't seen the final version of the code for that. So I think you'll get, if you're a witness, you'll get both the witness rewards and the standard validator node rewards. I believe that is possible. Are there any thoughts on having a tournament with cards as prizes? My thought is that it's a ton of manual work.
Yeah.
And so while I really like it and support it, you can't, there's not like an easy way to be like, all right, this Lord of Darkness goes to the first place winner. So anything that's done like that really has to be manually shipped. And that's just a lot of work. So
I think what I would say is that as a maybe like infrequent type, one-off type tournament, I think that's a cool idea. And I think that's something that, we can look at doing. But as a consistent, hey, you can just enter into all these different tournaments and win cards. I don't think that that's the way to do it, at least through our current existing tournament system. I really think that how we do that has to be well thought out, because if people are upset about, the SPS delegation and prizing and being able to get in, then you also introduce, you can win cards based off of tournaments too. Like, you just start putting too many cooks in the kitchen and it gets it, really complicated very quickly.
Okay. Love the lore video touching on Modern and Wild. Is there a new one coming out soon? When's our next lore video?
It should be soon. I'm trying to remember. We skipped last week because of reasons, which I won't get into right now. But I think we still have one scheduled for tomorrow, and Oh, okay. So yeah, we are going to be releasing another lore video, and we will be back on the weekly schedule, I believe. I think that, and again, this has been spoken to before. If for those of you who like the lore and want to keep looking at the lore, we have plans to increase the production value, whether it be with animation, with music, with all kinds of cool ideas that are flying around. So keep an eye on that. You'll be glad that you did.
All right. When auto restake, I don't think that's in our next set of changes. But there's only there's less than 120 days left. There's 118 days left of airdrop. So I'm not sure that the auto restake, although it might work for the regular staking rewards. I don't know. If enough of you guys put that into feedback.splinterlands.com, then that might happen. When land reveal.
Well, I will say, and I saw the comment earlier by Matt a little bit up there where he was like, well, not just when land reveal, but when can we buy plots from right there within the site, not from a third-party website. And the intention is to have land reveal happen at the same exact time as the ability to go ahead and purchase plots and buy and sell from player to player from within the game. And that is something we talked about earlier, is the UI being worked on to make non-card assets part of the market and the collection. And we think that is extremely important as a precursor to being able to do the land stuff, because when we launch the land reveals, we want people to be able to buy and sell plots that have not been surveyed, which means that you don't know what rarity it is, you don't know what geography type it is, but you do know the coordinates of it. So you're gonna have three ways to buy and sell. One with the claim tokens that you already have. You'll also be able to trade, buy and sell the deed tokens, which are not yet surveyed. So you don't know, you know where it is on the map. You just don't know whether it's rare or what, if it's a swamp or a mountain. You don't know, but you can go ahead and buy and sell that. And you can also survey the deed, and then you do know it's revealed, and then you'll be able to buy and sell that stuff. So that's the intention anyways, is to give that degree of flexibility for buying and selling plots of land, so that people have all the options at their disposal right there from within the game.
Okay. Question: with the changes to the starter cards reducing rewards, will be a filter in team select to hide these starter cards so you don't use them?
We've been playing with UI options. I think Roy is one of our UX designers looking at that, and he was playing with the idea of giving some sort of indicator that says that, okay, based upon the team you have like 3 starter cards in there. This is how it's going to affect. Before you push battle, be aware that you're not going to make as many, this percentage of the rewards if you win. So, and then of course, if you don't have any starter cards, then you won't see that little warning or that little, whatever, that little message or whatever. So these are ideas that we're bouncing around to make it easier through the team selection process as to, what it is happening here.
Okay. Coming down here to 550. I have a gold level 5 and already heatsmith, but my level 7 is often the main one that pops up unless I remember to specifically choose for the gold foil version. Could this possibly be fixed where the gold foil has the priority? Sometimes I forget to change it out. What do you think about like priority defaults?
Yeah, I think I do the same thing with the monkey, right? Because if it's the combat rule where you want slow and not fast, I have a gold foil that's lower level that doesn't give speed to the team. So I'll switch on the gold foil toggle, select that monkey for that combat rule, and then switch it back so I can finish making my team. I think that's what we're talking about, right?
I think so.
So instead of so basically, if you have a monkey that is high level and a monkey that is low level, you want to be able to pick between the two. Yeah, That's tough because the bigger your collection, the more likely you have own 50 monkeys now, and you're not going to want. You're not going to be overwhelmed with 50 monkeys on the screen. So, along with all the other cards. So yeah, that's definitely a UX challenge. We'll have to work through how we would do that to where it's intuitive and user friendly. But I mean, it's worth considering for sure. It's worth pursuing because I think if I buy a bunch of cards and I want a whole bunch and I buy more so that I could have them at different levels, well, we don't want to punish people who do that. In fact, they should benefit from buying more cards, and we want to incentivize people to buy more cards. So if we can find a UX way in order to make that happen, then yeah, for sure, I would say. And I think the typical response is make sure you add that to the feedback page so that people can vote on that, and it can come to the surface, and we can kind of be reminded. That's your guys' way of poking us and saying, hey, remember this idea? So keep doing that.
All right. Can you split a tract into plots without revealing the rarity? I don't think so. I think you gotta either open the tract or open
that's the point. Matt made a big deal of making sure that when we do the UX and the UI.
All right. I misspoke. Sorry guys. So this is why we like having devs on the show.
So that's why we're distinguishing between so first of all, yeah, your claim. When you turn that claim token in, it becomes a deed, but you don't know what the rarity is or yet until you survey the land. You send someone out to go check it out and figure out, what's there. Is it a forest or a swamp, and what's the rarity and all that? So and the reason we're separating that out in stages like that is specifically for people who bought tracks and regions in a pool. If everything got flipped, then how the heck do you decide who gets the common land and who gets the legendary land? It'd be drama. So we're trying to help out the player base in that respect.
All right. Question. I don't know if there's something in the pipeline about having a 2v2 or a 3v3 or something like that. Yeah, we don't have additional game modes in the pipeline currently, but stuff like that is definitely things that you could see happening over time. Kira's saying, could we have set and rarity filters for team selection? Would help narrow down results as well as players on limited tournaments, for example, for no legendary or new set only.
Yeah, that goes back to the sorting and filtering revamp that the more we add to the game, the more important it is that we make that revamp happen. So it's definitely on the radar as to allow for all these different ways that people want to sort and filter their cards.
And that's feedback.splinterlands.com, which Bulldog was right there on. All right, I think any time frame when we can know about the next summoner stats. Yeah, Matt's working on those. Well, I don't know. Hopefully it'll be out there in April. We'll see. Okay, so I think that's it for questions today. Let's go call it here. I don't know what Fritrio is asking me about, but it's fine. Everything is good. Anyways, guys, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thanks for being here. I'm really excited to go get the stream team going and seeing what that looks like. We're just moving along with all the tools and trying to get this stuff out as soon as we can. Do it safely so that we don't have any kind of financial damage to our player base, and that we can grow sustainably. We're trying to make the best decisions that we can, and we're looking forward to as we keep putting this stuff out. We think it'll have a pretty big impact on new players that want to join, and desirability of assets, and grind it out, come play with us, come hang out, and we're trying to get this stuff out as soon as we can. So thanks everybody. Thanks for being here. We'll be back next Wednesday. Ron, I think I have to move these to Tuesdays, but we don't need to do that for the next one. And we'll see. Ron's telling me no, but anyways, hey guys, I appreciate everything, and I look forward to talking to you more. Thanks everybody.